So congratulations to whoever's manning the Warhammer 40,000 Facebook page for one of the best comebacks I've seen them do in a while. Yes, wouldn't you know it, we seem to be getting more Space Marines of the Primaris variety. Hello and welcome back to Warspecs Tactics, where today we're talking about Strike Force Justinian, Games Workshop set of new Primaris Space Marine Sculpts that represent the next wave of their Space Marine Heroes range. Randomised individual Space Marine miniatures that you can pick up should you want to for a relatively inexpensive amount. I believe these are some fairly new and completely unique sculpts, but also maybe not looking massively different from the current Space Marine Primaris kits. Let's talk about the random Space Marine mini lottery that Space Marine Heroes is, what they've done so far, and what these new miniatures look like, and how you're expected to play with them in games. So first up, Space Marine Heroes is this blind box Space Marine series that Games Workshop has unleashed a fair few series of so far. Previously it's been Firstborn Marines, Terminators and Death Guard, now it looks like it's Primaris Space Marines' turn. The way that these work is that you get individual boxes that are usually priced around about £5, €6.50 or $8, unless they decide to raise the price anyway. In that box you get one of the series of miniatures, you don't know which one it is. In previous sets it could have been a standard tactical marine or space marine with a missile launcher or a sergeant. A bunch of these series have been released in Japan first, kind of playing into their gacha games thing that they have going on there. But the series does seem popular enough that they're going to be releasing them across the world. The exact Heroes releases haven't entirely matched up, some of them got a bit repackaged and different mixes of models around the rest of the world, but the general idea remained the same. For the most part, they seem to be reasonably well received. Not really something that you'd want to go for if you want an entire squad of Space Marine miniatures, perhaps. More sort of fun individual models to buy. There's not really many places in Games Workshop that you can get any models at all for something like £5 or $8. And I guess it's kind of fun to have a very cheap entry point to Warhammer. Say if you just literally wanted to pick up some random Space Marine to test out some colour schemes on, this might not be the worst way. Safely ignored by anyone who doesn't want them, but for some people they can provide some decent entertainment or even some good value if they just want to dip their toe in the hobby. If you do want to get your hands on the entire set of them, I guess it would be a little bit pricey, spending that much for a single miniature, though I guess with this one there is a Space Marine captain included. Games Workshop would usually charge something like £25 or $37 for that, so if that was the very captain that you wanted, he'd make up a significant chunk of the cost of all the miniatures. There are kind of two different ways that you can buy them as well if you want the complete set. Either you can just pick up random ones, or probably if you do want the whole squad of them, it makes more sense to buy one of the big boxes of 8 of them. That guarantees that you get one copy of each of the models, and then for this latest set at least, you just get one duplicate. Kinda nice to have that option if someone wants to pick up this entire new squad. For previous sets of Space Marine Heroes, here on the left is the one of the Firstborn. I believe that these were initially released in Ultramarines colours in Japan, and then they redid them in Blood Angels colours here in the UK, and also split them up into 2 separate halves as well. The Blood Angels Terminator ones are quite fun as well, some unique individual sculpt poses for them. For the most part, most of these were fairly well received. Quite a lot of the miniatures did actually have something a bit more interesting going on with them than the standard issue ones. Kind of fun to see some classic models with some slightly different interpretations. There's also the Death Guard one as well, which was fairly well received too. A nice new set of sculpts for the Plague Marines. I seem to remember that Malignant Plague Caster in the middle there was a particularly popular miniature, quite highly sought after and tends to go for quite a lot second hand. Now following up these previous Firstborn releases, now we have Strike Force Justinian. This hero's release looks like it's a release of 7 miniatures, Captain Justinian himself on the top left, then 1 Phobos Marine with a bolt sniper rifle, 1 heavy intercessor with a heavy bolter, 3 regular intercessors and 1 assault intercessor. A nice interesting little mixed force of Primaris there. I guess that means if you get the box set of 8 of them, then 1 of them will be duplicated, but you would guarantee yourself a captain and a sniper. In general, the idea for these doesn't usually tend to be that you can fill them as a big squad or anything like that. It wouldn't have worked with the Terminators, though I guess you could have made a squad work with the Firstborn Marines. But maybe these guys are taking the mix to the next level a little bit by actually having different armor marks here. We've got Phobos Gravis and the Mark 10 Tacticus armor all mixed up in the same offering. I guess you get kind of close with being able to field the intercessors in a squad, but not quite there even if you do get a second bolter duplicate. Apparently the models all have a little bit of customization. Most of them are pretty much monopose set miniatures, perhaps partly so they could do some very slightly different poses and have them doing interesting things, but apparently all of them get a head swap as well. It looks like you'd be able to swap out between a bear head and a helmet, which is kind of nice. I do quite like the way that Games Workshop is doing this quite so regularly these days. In terms of the reaction of the internet, though, most places I've seen it discussed just don't really seem to be enormously impressed by these guys. The main reaction that I've seen is maybe that they're just a little bit bland. Most of them nice enough individual miniatures in their own way. I guess the different heads do give them a little bit of personality, though I think they've done better with some of them than others, but maybe just aren't differing massively enormously from the standard squads that they draw from. Things like the Heavy Intercessor with the Heavy Bolter and the Eliminator model, they really don't seem to be diverting all that much from their stock squads. Kind of interestingly, and unlike the previous Space Marine Heroes releases, it looks like Games Workshop's trying to do something a bit next level here, and doing a bit of a cross-release here with Kill Team. So far we've got no real hints that they're going to be getting a Warhammer 40k datasheet, though I guess it's certainly possible. It's a little bit hit and miss with Kill Team things getting 40k datasheets. Some do, like say the Kroot Farstalkers, but some have got missed out so far, like that Necron Hierotech Circle. It seems like Games Workshop might be, alongside selling these for the Sculpts, might also be trying to get people interested in playing Kill Team with them. Apparently each one comes with a card with its rules on, plus one of the options that you can use with the bigger team, and apparently there'll be a straightforward set of Kill Team rules for these 7. A fairly straightforward damage dealer Kill Team that maybe isn't going to be too subtle for people to grasp. They did say it's kind of unusual to get things like a Space Marine Captain in Kill Team. They aren't going to be looking to go back to things like Kill Team Commanders or anything like that, and that this guy's going to be a bit of an oddity. So far to my knowledge they haven't said any current release date as of yet. I guess probably in the next month or two, as per normal with Games Workshop's previews. I don't think there was the most enormous lead time between the Space Marine Heroes range when it was announced last year. Finally, let's just talk through the models one by one here. First up here we have Captain Justinian himself. He's armed with a Power Fist and Plasma Pistol. It is a loadout of Primaris Captain that we have already, but I feel like the posing on this guy is at least pretty interesting, frying someone with that plasma before going in for a punch. Perhaps one of the more valuable miniatures in the box, considering that Games Workshop usually sells their Primaris Captains for £25. Then we've got Sergeant Marius, who appears to be an intercessor with a regular bolt rifle. He looks like he's in the middle of reloading it, and has a bionic eye and a fairly scarred face. Then we've got Brother Decian, who looks like he's an assault intercessor with a heavy bolt pistol and the Astartes chainsword there. He is walking along. And Brother Thizor, who's going for a bit of a Mohican look, looks like he's armed with a bolt rifle and midway through throwing a grenade. I'd say for the more standard ones, perhaps the first 3 were perhaps some of the more interesting. I feel like these last 3 maybe aren't all that different from their individual kits. Brother Bignius seems to have an auto bolt rifle, not that there sounds like there's much difference in the 10th rules. Brother Achilles is in Gravis armor and he's got a heavy bolter, mainly not looking crazily different to your standard heavy intercessor there in my opinion. And finally Brother Flavian is an Eliminator, armed with a bolt sniper rifle. It is kind of interesting that at least in terms of theoretical value from Games Workshop, the Eliminator and the Heavy Intercessor will both be a bit more value than £5 normally from Games Workshop. The Eliminator would be particularly nice if you could find 3 of him to get a cut price Eliminator squad, but I guess the Heavy Intercessor you couldn't really do the same as only one can take the Heavy Bolter. I guess you could make yourself a pretty interesting cut price Eradicator squad though, if you could find yourself a few copies of him, plus maybe some melter gun bits. In any case, let me know your thoughts on Strike Force Justinian. What do you make of the new Primaris Sculpts for Space Marine Heroes? Would you be tempted to pick any of these up or not? If you've enjoyed the video, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, or I'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming. I do tend to post new ones just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page as well, and you can find that links down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things happen next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.